After a huge weekend of racing and sport, we can all do with a Sunday saviour to round out the punting weekend in winning style. The Tab Touch Sunday Saviour is here to sweeten your Sunday on the punt. It's over to the boys to provide this week's edition of Tab Touch Sunday Saviour.
Now, TC's gone the early call, and he has informed me that there were no winners from last week. Now, the number he said, the number of entries just doesn't sound right to me, so I'm waiting for a protest. The protest signal may go off. But get them in, punters. If you were down to that number last week, what's going on? 0427 789 571 2, 3, 4-leg multi. Has to be concluded today. Highest winning multi gets a $100 Tab Touch voucher. And, Brad, that'll be handy in anyone's account this morning.
Oh, my word. Ginger and I will be in there again today.
Oh,
we'll
no,
be having another crack.
Hang on.
Boy.
Ginger's got plenty. Donger O'Donnell, $57. Thank you very much. Thank you
well
very
done,
much.
Ginger.
Yes.
I didn't get that text, Ginger.
Oh, you got to stick with the dong. He is the best.
That is fantastic. It's going to be 24 here today, racing at Seymour. So,
Seymour Cup.
Yeah, for those, bet with confidence, listeners. It's going to be a lovely day at Seymour. I was on that way, went past there during the week, as you know, Marty, up to Yarrawonga, Marwala, and beautiful part of the world, and always calling it Seymour for a beautiful sandwich across the road from the footy oval. It's a cracking little a little deli. Beauty.
Okay. Seymour Cup today, second to none now. Damien Lane, when he was asked...
Going there for a holiday.
Yeah, well, exactly. When he was asked yesterday, what are you doing tonight? Big night celebration. He said, no, I've got a light one tomorrow at Seymour, so I'll be taking it easy with the good lady and myself, just a quiet meal. So that horse he is riding second, and none's got terrific form, got form against attrition. Saw how good he was yesterday. So we'll be talking to Mitch Freedman as well. So the show will go a bit like this. About to catch up with James Sullivan. Tim Newbold talking about the $1 million chase heats last night in Sydney. Tim will clear all that up. Chris Nelson, Racetrack Ralphy. After 7 o'clock, Mitch Freedman. Rylie Morgan's going to preview Geraldton. Michael Grantham, one of the stars of the show yesterday, and he's got a terrific team at Geraldton today. Then Adam Durant as well. So a big focus on Geraldton racing there in that last half hour of the second hour. And then Sean O'Donnell will be a special guest on Racing Rewind. So there you have it, punters. Got it all covered. Joining us now to talk some NRL and International Rugby League is James Sullivan. A very good morning.
Hello, Marty, Brad, listeners. I tell you what, Brad, I don't think people realise how good a good sandwich bar is.
Exactly right.
I love a good sandwich, I must admit. Yeah.
I do too, Sully. Don't worry about that. I found a few nice little sandwich bars. I've always found that one at Seymour. Found a nice one a little bit closer to you up there at Mulwala and Yarrawonga. I love it up there. It's beautiful. You do not miss out, that's for sure. Hey, Sully, just recapping quickly the last week. Well, it wasn't disappointing, but, you know, a dynasty has been created, hasn't it, by the Panthers?
Unbelievable. And it doesn't matter what you do. Every day that's gone by, I keep scratching my head. And I said something to Marty yesterday, and I went, you know, the unusual thing, and I haven't seen it anywhere else, Marty and Brad, and we talk about rugby league and we talk about 17 players. You know, how the bench is so important, this and that. Penrith used 15 players last week.
Yeah.
There was 2 of their bench did not get on the field. Blew me away to think they've stuck into that 80 minutes. He didn't use Snyder or Eisenhunt. Clear, he didn't feel like he needed to. He just trusted the system that he had out there. And, mate, the big in was Scott Sorensen. Let's not forget. You know, the back rower, he wasn't named. He came in. That made 9. 9 from that side that won their first grand final. 9 players. And I know people say, oh, they've lost this bloke, they've lost that bloke. They've still got 9 of them. Yeah, it's a dynasty, and, you know, it's something that who's to say they can't go on. But, mate, their forward pack was ruthless. That was the bottom line. You know, Leota, Fisher, Harris, they were ruthless.
Yeah, look, I must admit, I was hoping for Matty Tripp and the Storm, but obviously because we're mates. But the bottom line was they played safe, and We saw it on the week before with Marty and I at the AFL Grand Final. The Sydney Swan Stars didn't really play. They didn't come. Not that they didn't come to play, but they weren't allowed to play well. And I thought that they had a down evening, and they didn't show much dare and much flair at all.
Agree, and I had this conversation with Sul, didn't I, during the week?
Yep.
That they did not deviate off that fifth kick, kicking it long, trying to get their tall players to be able to win in the air, but it just wasn't working. They needed to do something different in the second half.
Yeah, and that was the big thing. I would have, as I said to you the other day, I would have loved to have just take that risk on the last and run the footy, turn it back inside, where you think those Penrith forwards are just thinking, right, they're going to just kick in there. They might just take the foot off for that one moment, but they didn't do it. We didn't see Coates in clear air, did we? We haven't seen Coates in clear air throughout the whole final series, actually. So it probably was the nemesis that got him in the end. I thought the centres of the Panthers might have been their Achilles heel, but it turned out, for me, I thought the Storm centres were probably their Achilles heel. Young Alan Morte, he had a blinder for the Panthers. Wow. If you're going to have your best game, you might as well have it in a grand final.
That is for sure.
Oh, my word.
Can I just jump in, Brad? And one thing that you said about only using 15 players for Penrith, and we've been saying this for 2 or 3 years now, their strength and conditioning at Penrith is amazing. And you've said it, Sul, even the younger under 18s and the 2s, they just go through a system, and when they're ready to go in the main game, they are absolute machines.
And you're so right, and this is a club that 2 years ago won everything. Remember, the 17s, 19s, 21s, they went Cup and then the NRL. And it starts at the bottom, and I've been fortunate enough to watch their 17s, watch their 19s. They play exactly the same. So what's been implemented at training is not only through the NRL squad, it's through the rest of the club.
Sully, I only saw the headline. I didn't get a chance to read the story. There was a couple of things. One, Matty Johns was being broached as perhaps being the next Blues coach. And the other thing, there was a bit of a fear that Nathan Cleary, at some point down the track, not too soon, not tomorrow, could look to leave the NRL. What was that all about?
Yeah, I think more so because of the girlfriend scenario. She's in England and he's over here. He's won 4 premierships. But what Nathan Cleary hasn't done yet is steer New South Wales to Origin victory. So I think that'll irk him still a little bit. I don't think he'll be going anywhere in a hurry. But still only a young man, won 4. Sometimes you wonder what's in front of you. But if he wants to look after his hip pocket, no doubt he could earn a lot of money playing Super League in the UK. He'd get bored with that pretty quickly, I would have thought. But, yeah, they've still got bigger fish to fry. But I think the biggest fish for him would be winning, guiding New South Wales to an Origin victory.
What about the internationals? Any surprises at selection?
No, not so much Australia. Obviously, we've got the PNG game today. The PM's 13, taking on the PNG boys over there. So that's a big day next week. The Pacific Cup, as you said, and the bowl gets started. Liam Martin was named. Obviously, we saw him after getting Clive Churchill. Wow,
cool.
What a player he is. He's one of our favourites, as you know, but he pulled out during the week, so Hudson Young comes in for him, but we'll have a good look at them sort of next week as they fold. And I think the big one, Kiwis, I think if people go back, they forget that the Kiwis not only won, but absolutely towed up Australia in the final last year. 13-0, thank you very much. So Malmaninga's got a bit of work to do. Obviously left James Tedesco out, which was obviously a lot of people saying, oh, well, I personally, after he played the Origin one, then Edwards came back. I think the writing was on the wall there, so no problems for me there. But today, as you say, you can watch a little bit of rugby league. We can even have a bet. Damien Cook, the captain of the Aussie PM's 13 today, $3 to score a try any time. Oh, that's cream.
Sounds good to me. I'm liking that. Hey, Sully, apologies if you've already addressed this with Marty and the boys during the week, but what is going on with this next licence? God almighty. I mean, we thought it was all but done. It's still up in the air.
Well, Brad, I haven't spoken to anyone, so you're the first one we're chatting about it. And it's been Yeah, it's been big news, hasn't it? Especially in Western Australia. I was a little bit surprised that the consortium didn't expect they had to pay a licence fee. And I know people will say, well, Redcliffe, but Redcliffe have got $100 million in assets. So if something fell out of the way there, they know the NRL know that Redcliffe have the assets to cover it. So at this stage, the WA scenario hasn't been lost, but the consortium headed by Peter Cummings and the boys has been knocked on the head at this stage. So I know the NRL are still trying to work with the WA government. They want a franchise in Western Australia. That's the bottom line. But it just needs to be worked out.
Okay. Okay. All right. So are we still on or not? What's your gut feel?
There will be a side added. Who it is, I'm not sure. 50-50. Yeah, I'm 50-50 now. I was 80-20, as you know.
Yeah.
The longer this goes on, there's a side from the South Island in New Zealand who are ready to pounce. So be interesting if they think and New Zealand are ready for two sides. That's an interesting thing because they've built that new stadium. So it'd be interesting to see what happens on that South Island as well. But yeah, a little bit jittery at the moment. I would love some positive news this week.
Okay, Sal, we've got to get moving, but leave us again with that bet today and say some of our punters could put it into their Sunday saviour. Yeah,
just check the rugby league and you'll see the PM's 13's game. Try any time. The PM's captain, Damien Cook, $3. Like that.
D. Cook, the little beach sprinter. He'll get through underneath the pack and get over for a try. That's your thoughts.
Absolutely is.
Okay, Sal, all the best.
On your Sully.
Thanks for coming on today.
Stay safe, boys.
James Sullivan, as he likes to do every Sunday. Here's one from Bluey. Get this one. Mm-hmm. Bluey. Here, thanks for your drive show and interview with Brett Pope a few months ago. I followed his tip to follow the horse Chirino. Got the quaddie, thought it paid poor, got heavy percentage of it. Many thanks, Bluey. It paid 112,000, Bluey. I think, didn't it? 112. Hey?
There's nothing wrong with being greedy, Bluey. There's nothing, because they take it off you 10 times as quick as they give it to you.
That's Blue. I know it was a bit tough to get, Blue. First leg Diamond Scene 20 blew them out. What a performance coming from last. Beat the favourite, wrote them in. Cosmic Crusader 2 in a row for Peter's Investments at 11. $51 about Chirino, and then, last leg you could have even gone very skinny with first and second there, Almighty Class and Taropa. Mighty Class gets the money at $2.70. But well done, Bluey. Yeah. I hope you got a decent percentage of it.
Yes, and we'll look forward to the 10% to Marty and Brad Foundation. That'll be good.
Yes, 14.3 degrees here in Perth. How's it over there in Melbourne, Brad?
Just gaining momentum as we speak. As you know, we're at nearly lunchtime here, Marty, these days. It's going to be 23, 24. So, I had an extra... Sorry?
Oh, you'd be making your way down for the morning session, wouldn't you?
Oh, you're just about ready to have one off the wood. So it's all good.
Those 11 o'clock morning starts, they used to be fantastic, weren't they, in the old days? Brilliant. They were terrific.
Oh, yes.
24 past 6. Yep.
You waited till 11 o'clock. The railway over there in North Fremantle used to open at 6.
Maybe on the way home. Let's catch up with Tim Newbold now. What a night it was, the $1 Million Chase Heats last night, Wentworth Park. A very good morning, Tim.
Yeah, g'day, fellas. Yeah, you're spot on. Cracking night in Sydney at Wentworth Park last night with, our 8 semi-finals. Quality greyhounds all the way through the entire night, and we've landed with a ripping final. And no doubt all you guys over in Perth are cheering loud and long after qualifying 2 runners with Bezecchi and Sunset Frazier making it through. And, gee, yous are in the race right up to your ears.
Yeah. Good morning, Tim. Well, let's have a look at Bezecchi. I mean, we're all a bit at our heart in our mouth. Came out a little slow, then a couple got in the way going down the back, and we thought, he's got to get there. What a powerful finish.
Yeah, it was hard in your mouth stuff, wasn't it, in the early stages, and then he was able to just get around the outside, and then that big engine he's got a massive motor, and it kicked in, and he was just too strong at the end. He just powered home over the latter stages to get there. 29.74, which he ran last night, but we know what he can go. He ran 29.12 a week earlier in the city qualifiers, so we know how he can go much quicker if he can find the bunny. But he's got to, he can lead, but he can also come from behind. So that's a big asset when you're getting into these big races. And I actually heard his caretaker trainer, Minnie Finn, who's one of the best trainers here in New South Wales. She said in an interview after the race that he actually sat down. When she put him in the boxes, he actually sat down. And she thought, geez, we're in trouble here. Fortunately, he did get up in time when the boxes lifted, but he didn't show that blinding early speed he showed the week prior. But a couple of strings to his bow, and he's got a gun alley in the final, and he's going to be really, really hard to hold out.
And what about Sunset Frazier? Has come up with box 8 in the final. Tell us about its performance last night.
Yeah, I think you've got to say it was a real gritty performance because I didn't know a great deal about him prior to him coming over and campaigning for the $1 Million Chase. And on his way through to make it to the final, he took out the Group 2 Blacktop at the Gardens in Newcastle. So he's already won feature race prize money over here, 40 grand. Now he's running around for $1 million next Friday. But he's a high-speed greyhound. He's not known for his strength at the end, but he really dug in deep in the latter stages last night to get home, and he'll take a stack of benefit out of that run. His trainer, Michelle Sultana, said he'd only had a couple of trials around Whitworth Park, so he'll be better with a few runs now under his belt at the track, and all greyhounds do improve the more runs they do have at Whitworth Park. So he's a greyhound who is drawn in box number 8. If he begins, he'll be looking to carve across, cut and run at the first turn. If he does happen to find the top, he could certainly pinch it rolling along on the lure.
Tell you what, he was entitled to get a little tired towards the end there, mate, because he had a good old punch-up in the first part of the race.
That's right. There was no place for the faint-hearted, was there, in the early stages. He really had to work overtime. And for a greyhound like him, who is a genuine high-speed leader, that sort of buffeting and having to work overtime in the first half of the race, that generally takes a lot out of those greyhounds. There's more merit to the win the way he sort of dug in over the latter stages to sneak home. So he's one who will take a stack of benefit and fitness out of that run. And, as I said, he'll go around at double figures, Sunset Frazier, but he's in great hands over here in New South Wales with Michelle Sultana and Darryl Thomas. So the races, he could certainly take it out and end at double figures.
So what's your gut feel for, a little way away? Who are you leaning to?
Oh, look, I've got to be with the Victorian, a greyhound by the name of Explicit for Jason Thompson. His win last night, running 29.20, I think the third fastest run ever at Whitworth Park. It had to be seen to be believed. I've been watching and betting on races at Winnie Park for about 30 or 35 years. I called there for 8 years. I don't think I've ever seen a better performance at Whitworth Park than the greyhound did last night, Explicit. He bombed the jump completely. He balanced up. He then went like a rocket from the winning post to basically top turn and even coming home to run 29.20. And he's normally a reliable beginner. Had he come out last night, I think he would have broken the track record. And that's a track record at Whitworth Park, which I didn't think in my lifetime would be broken. And had he begun like he would normally do, I think he would have done it last night. So I've got to be in his corner at this stage. I don't think he's too badly drawn. He's drawn box 7 wide out where he can get mobile in the early stages. And it was an interesting comment by Jason Thompson after the race. He said he thinks he's the best greyhound he's ever had. Coming from Jason, that says a hell of a lot because he's prepared champion after champion, won every feature race in the country. So to hear Jason say that, it was one statement and a half. So you've got to take that on board. And as I said, just where he's drawn, he's not badly drawn. it's a crackerjack final, but gee, what he did last night, as I said, I don't think and you can, don't get me wrong, you can get caught up in the moment, where on the night and it's all and the emotions run wild. But even the next morning, his performance, it was out of this world.
Talking to Tim Newbold. Now let's go through the $1 Million Chase final field. Box 1, Zipping Megatron, $6.50. Box 2, Bezecchi, $5. Box 3, Inconspicuous, $4. 4, both Bowers Ace is 34. 5, Good Odds Cobber, $6.50. 6 is Blue Camaro, 13. 7, Explicit, $2.90. 8, Sunset Frazier at $17. First Reserve Power and Glory is 7 and Scarlatti, $151. So you think Box 7's not going to hold Explicit back and he can win at $2.90? Is that value at this stage or a little unders?
No, I think it's actually value. I think he'll start a bit shorter than that, to be blunt. I think he's around a $2.40, $2.50 chance. And I think when, the form students and the punters, start to sit down and really mull over this race and do the form and do the replays, I think he'll be the one majority of punters will find. So I think at $2.90, I think you're shopping pretty well there at the moment, Explicit, $2.90. I think a lot of punters will come up with Bezecchi as well because he's drawn box 2. He's beautifully drawn. He's got a moderate beginner drawn on his immediate inside and a greyhound on his outside who will run a straight line. So for you Sandgrovers, he could be Johnny on the spot at the first turn if Explicit isn't coming across. I don't think he can run Explicit down because he's such a good greyhound, but if the favourite happens to dwell a shade at the beginning and your greyhound Bezecchi is right there, he could certainly take out the race. But I think at $2.90, I think he's a little, you're shopping pretty well there.
Yeah, and there's one element too, Tim, isn't there? It's called Lady Luck. Because you just need a little bit of that, don't you? That's for sure. I just watched Explicit's race again, and even though it was slow to begin, showed enormous track sense. Normally, I would assume a greyhound would go down to the rail looking for the lure, but he held the straight line all the way down the straight, missed all the trouble, and shot through. Unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly. You're spot on, and that word, track sense. And he hasn't had he's only had a trial or two with Park. So he's another greyhound who will be improved by, now a couple of runs around the track. And you're right. To do what he did through that first turn or up the home running the first time and through the first turn to move up around and go up and around them, that says a lot because he's normally a front runner. So he doesn't normally have to contend with greyhounds in front of him. So you've seen him. He can do it from in front, but if he is in a little bit of trouble in the early stages, well, he's got the track sense and the field sense to be able to get himself out of trouble, which is a big, big asset.
From a WA point of view, though, Tim, great night for our runners. And Miss Envy, she ran second in her semi-final 2, which was a terrific effort. Paul Stewart, Dave Hobby to have 2 in the $1 Million Chase. First time ever. It's our 50-year anniversary of greyhound racing in WA. So there's a bit of synergy there. We just might be able to take this off next Saturday night.
Oh, absolutely. You guys could take the consolation end final. Don't worry about that. Her run was terrific, finishing runner-up behind Inconspicuous. She ran 29.63 in finishing runner-up. She had trialled, I think it was around the 29.90. So, again, she's another who now, with a few runs around Woodward Park, she'll be improved. We know she's the Nationals champ, taking out that title back in August down at Angle Park in South Australia. So she's got quality about her, and she's got a big chance in the consolation. So you guys could be walking away with a little bit over $1 million taking all of our prize money next Friday night.
Life-changing stuff. Tim, always good to hear you on the airwaves. Thanks for giving us your time this morning.
Not a problem, guys. Thank you. Take care.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelpline.org.au.
Sunday morning, Tab Radio Racing and Sport is turned on, and you are listening to the dulcet tones of Marty Young and Brad Hardie on the Aftermath.
Yes, Brad Hardie over there in Melbourne. Get your text in on that Retrovision text line 0427 789 571. We've banked a couple up. We'll be getting to them soon, but first we get to Chris Nelson and talk about that meeting out at Rosehill yesterday. Very good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Marty. Good morning, Brad.
Yeah, great to be with you, Chris. Fantastic days racing up there at Rosehill. Where would you like to start? What about race 3, the Varley John Nicholson handicap, where Madatsu just, everybody thought, the market thought anyway, that Bears on the Loose gets the soft lead and hard to run past. Not to be.
Not to be. Madatsu too good for Chris Waller and Kieran McElvoy. Interesting race. We had a couple of failures here, big-time failures. Shayahar, the Bussett and Young visitor from Victoria, pulled up with a laceration, so there were excuses there because he had a beautiful run in the race. He loomed up 3 wide and just went backwards down the straight. Kibosh was a bit disappointing. Bear on the Loose, as you said, didn't go forward as expected. Mare of Mount Buller, she sort of came into the race, but she didn't quite finish off. So I don't know what we do with that form, guys. I'm probably not looking forward or looking to it being too strong going forward.
What about race 4, the Gloaming Stakes, El Costello? A little bit of a minor upset here. Swift Falcon, Jay Ford give it something to do, didn't he? Wow, what a run. So sets it up for the Champion Stakes in a fortnight. Tell us your take on the race.
Well, you nailed it, Marty. The two in the market, Swift Falcon and Henline, they just gave away way too much start. They could never win from back there. And Josh Parr would have been just laughing. He was only 5 lengths off the lead, basically settling down, took over in the straight. Swift Falcon did an enormous job and I thought was much better than Henline late. Ran away from Henline over that last 150 metres or so. That's just a horse that just keeps on running on all the time. The spring champion looks ideal at Randwick. So he's the one to follow out of the race. Take nothing away from El Costello. He's doing the right thing. But, he reversed the runs in that race or have Swift Falcon anywhere closer in the run than he would have won.
Race 5, the Group 2, Roman Consul, looked the another of the day. I was obviously on the winner, but I've always been a fan of this horse. And now, I suppose, poses a bit of a problem. Does it get a start in the Everest, Switzerland?
Yeah. Did Coolmore replace Stormboy with Switzerland? Well, that decision apparently is going to be made this morning. I was just feverishly looking online to see if I could find anything, but nothing as yet.
No.
But yeah, look, he was good, Switzerland. He had a good run in the race. He was disappointing, obviously, first up, but they did say that he played up. He wasn't himself, and he was ridden too close, so there were excuses. We know he failed in the Golden Slipper, but he had trialled well since, and look, he had the right race, the right run yesterday. Got through along that section where some of the jockeys wanted to leave in the straight for some strange reason, but he was too good. Whether he's up to an Everest, well, if you listen to Chris Waller, he certainly is. So all honours to him. I thought Coleman was good, but once again, too far back in the run after a slow start. Just gave away too much start, Marty. What are they doing?
100%. Yep. Well, you spoke about Chris Waller. Here he is post-race.
Our eyes, he never went anywhere. He just lost his confidence. He got very worked up prior to the race, which it's not him. He's actually a very quiet horse. Yeah. But we just had him that fresh, and with these colts, every race is so important. And I think we just overdid the freshness. Right. And then we rode him too close, and it wasn't one of my proudest moments, to tell you the truth. So getting him back on track, we gave him a soft trial. He's enjoyed himself. He's enjoyed life, and showed today that he's back on track.
Do you talk Tom Magnier into running in the Everest next week, a 7-day backup, which has never been done before?
Do I talk Coolmore into running?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Just see how I just said to some of the media just now, whether it's an Everest or not, the horse will tell the story. So if it was, I'll just treat it like another race. He's had his gallop today. If he's ready to go, and if he gets a slot, I would tell them yes or no, or what do they think. And yeah, it's great being a Group 1 race. I can't use that excuse anymore. We'll go to the Coolmore, it's a Group 1.
That's gone. The excuse everyone hid behind for a long time is gone.
Yeah, rightly so.
Constitution-wise, he would be a horse that could back up?
Yeah, he's done very well this preparation. I had to actually put him on a little bit of a diet a couple of weeks ago.
Give me that diet.
So there he is, Chris Waller, talking about Switzerland's win by Snitzel. Gee, the most impressive part about this one, boys, was his last 50, 100 metre. He just exploded on the line, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, he did. But by the same token, I mean, yesterday's field wasn't a stellar field that he beat. So, I don't know. I still have a few doubts there. There's a few in the Everest that are probably better than him. But he does get in, obviously, with that lightweight.
Yeah, there was interesting, a few of the riders getting away from the fence for some reason, which is unexplainable. But anyway, that's okay on a good 4. Race 6, obviously the Tap Craig, a good race this. And, the blinkers nearly did the trick for Just Party, but I know
What a run. What a run, Brad. Yeah. That was a big, big run, Just Party.
It was. And scooted right up along the inside, which wasn't the place to be, apparently. But didn't stop Just Party. Almost got there. Huge run railing home. A no typical Waterhouse spot win. Sat up on speed. Didn't dawdle in front and then gave a good kick in the straight and was gutsy enough to hold off Just Party, but wouldn't have wanted any further, that's for sure. King of Rousseau was in the market, raced wide all the way. It was a forgive run. Can't really give you much about anything else in the race. I think Just Party probably the one to follow.
Yeah, I just want to go back to the previous race that Nash Rawiller won on Switzerland. They interviewed him post-race, and Ron Duffy asked him why. Oh, no, Corey Brown asked him why they're getting off the fence, and he said, "I don't know why, but I'll keep going up there. Thank you very much." So, and it happened. If you watch the pattern for the rest of the day, it actually ended up being the place to be, as you just said. Just Party making ground up along the fence like it did. I didn't mind the run of Deconstruction and More Territories too for horses sort of getting over a bit more ground to a mile or plus. Hill Stakes. What about the win here of Attrition beats Kovalika and Royal Patronage? Pericles 4th.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say something then, but that's fine. Yep.
No, I was on it. I was on it because we're going to speak to Mitch Freedman. But
yes.
The reason I was on it because have a look at the Fian. He wasn't disgraced at all, and got what was it, a $25,000 barrier trial, and have a look at the horses that finished in front of it, and what they did. Sits.
Yes.
Yes, we're talking Pride of Jenny, Mr. Brightside, and Antino, and the form was not bad out of those three, especially after yesterday. Now, Attrition's won the Tirac, beat Antino by a nostril same day last year.
Yep.
So the form line was good leading into Antino in the last, but look, he was too good. Nice run in the race. 1,900 metres was always going to be a bit of a query, but it didn't seem to be a problem for Attrition. Kovalika, well, he loomed to win again, and he didn't. He's consistent, but he just struggles. Now, Royal Patronage and Pericles are both queries at the trip. Now, you would say on face value that Royal Patronage didn't run it out, but I love the way that he stuck on after leading. I actually think he could get out over further. Yep. I'm keen to be on him when he gets out over a bit of ground. He didn't throw in the towel at all, Marty. His run was good.
I think Tim Clark erred a little bit. He went for that mid-race section gulp of air and just allowed the others to sort of get a bit too close to him coming towards the home bend. I would have rather seen him just gone, he was going very quickly out in front. Just keep going. And if you watch Royal Patronage over the last 100, 150, he's coming again.
That's it. That's what I mean. That's why I think he can get further. So I won't be jumping off him. I know he's only won up to 1,700 in the US, but I think he'll get further.
The Allen Brown Stakes, it was here to shock the Hayes boys in terrific form. Nash Rawiller again beats Gringotts. Waterford good from back and also was NCAP making ground late.
Yeah, look, he's an underrated horse, this one here to shock, isn't he? He won a race up here during the winter, a Group 3. He won the Cameron Handicap last start. He goes around at $10 here. Gringotts was going to run past him. I'm sure he was, and he didn't. He just kept fighting on here to shock. So, all honours, he's a tough bugger. Gringotts was good again. He's going to win something, this horse. Waterford ran on really well. And you mentioned a couple there, Marty, NCAP, and also Territory Express was one that weaved home well also. Macarena was a forgive. Samana was very flat once again. I think we're going for a break.
In race 9, the Niverson, I know the stable got an enormous rap on this one, but it still had to do it, didn't it? And the Alendia, did it. But what about the run of the second horse? Well done by Matthew Dale and Rachel King.
Should have probably won, Brad. You could make a case that it should have won Danny St. Darcy because Rachel King just could not get a crack at them until the 100-metre mark, and then the horses finished off really, really well. So, yeah, have to follow it going forward. The extreme outsider of the field. Alentia, obviously a very, very good mare first up, and she won again. So all honours with her and Dennis and Darcy, the one to follow. Coco Jam, on well first up. Yeah, good run again. And Blanc de Blanc race wide with no cover, so we forgive that.
Okay. Coco Jambu is going to be my follow out of the race, but it brings me to a question without notice to you. Peter and Paul Snowden, why aren't they a combination anymore as trainers?
Well, I don't know why they split up. I thought maybe Paul wanted to go off and do something on his own, but the news has come through this week that he's setting up a training base at Port Macquarie on his own. So his family have moved out to the area, and he's going to go out on his own at Port Macquarie. So, yeah, I don't know if there was any issue there between the two. I hope not. No. But, yeah, that's what's happening.
All right, and Brad Hardie was on Ferrari last start when it was a certainty beat. Did you back up, Bradley? Throw it in your multis.
I certainly did, but I had Martin in the mouth when I thought, hang on, you're going the wrong way. Go back to the fence. Back to the fence.
back to the quicksand.
Yeah.
Yep. He was way too, well, he wasn't way too, but he actually was very good because if you look at the tempo of this race, they did not run along, and they run home in 33.30, and he's been able to get home along the fence and run the leader down. So it was a better run and a better win than it appeared on paper. I think the whole of the country was on this horse in the last race, and good on him and Zach Lloyd for getting the job done.
Horses to follow, Chris?
Yeah. Now, one out of the first, which we didn't cover, but out of the first race, the Midway, Tatoka was a good thing beaten, and we can follow it in a similar race going forward. Swift Falcon, of course, out of race 4, and Danny St. Darcy out of race number 9.
Okay, what about Townsville this afternoon?
No, I couldn't find anything, Marty. We had a winner last week, so
yes.
we'll just rest on our success from last week, and I'll wait till the sunny coast.
Well done, Chris. Listen in on Wednesday.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Easy beauty. Chris Nelson leaves us there. We're about to now catch up with Racetrack Ralphy. We need to have a good look at this meeting at Caulfield yesterday. What a meeting it was. A very good morning to you, Ralphy.
Good morning, boys. Yes, sad to report that on a leader-biased track where you couldn't win unless you're in front and against the fence, Antino came from last to win the Toorak. Bellatrix Star came from midfield to win the sprint, and Jimmy Star came from midfield to win. But apart from that, you had to be on the fence and leading. Apart from that.
Now, Racetrack Ralphy, before you get going, we've got a text here. How's the Push-Up King going? How's that that all working out for you?
No, very nice. Thank you for asking. I did it. It was 27 push-ups twice a day, every day in September, and we raised 5,800 roughly. So I came third. You don't get a present for it, but I'm saying I came third. That'll do me. After yesterday, I'll take it.
Hey, Marty. well done, Ralphie. I saw him walking. I saw him strutting around last week, Marty. I said, have a look at that shirt that Ralphie's wearing. He wore that shirt when he was 14.
Yeah.
Look at the biceps on this bloke.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's the comic cut that goes with it, Brad.
The comic. All right, let's get through this meeting. Where do you want to start?
Well, look, we'll just go in order. I mean, there were 10 good races yesterday. And look, as facetious as I was at the start, what was great was that Old Caulfield returned. And you know, we hadn't seen that. The track hadn't been playing well for a while. I dare say a change of administrations had something to do with it. That, you know, you were rewarded for speed on a tight track. So that was the basis of it. If you were good enough, as I outlined it earlier, or they overdid it up front, you were able to win. But a couple of horses just didn't turn up. But the first race was just a benchmark 80. I think Sabin is a horse to follow out of this. It was favourite. I thought it was overbet because that Flemington win was good, but it was just a walk dash home. Now it's had a race, and I think it's a stayer of some promise. I think Sabin's definitely going to win a race or two this prep from here as well.
Race 2, Kuriangi, Nagi, back to its best. But hopefully the second horse is on your ones to follow. I was on the start before. Did disappointed, but geez, I put in a run yesterday, Chewing Gum.
Yeah, it was a huge close. So I might bracket races 2 and 3 because 2 was the fillies and 3 was the mares. And the reason I want to do that, we've got apples to apples. Aviatress bolted in and ran significantly faster time, 192 than 199. So I agree with you that Chewing Gum's, probably going to be very hard to beat remaining against the fillies, but I'd say that also says that Kurianagi is end of distance range. I think she might be just a pure sprinter. Blake got everything out of her, and maybe a cup week sprint up the straight over 1100 might be perfect for her. I Am Velvet's probably the best talent in the race. She just needs to get her habits right. She did similar in her 2 wins in race 2, but in race 3, yeah, like I said, Aviatress just absolutely super, and I think no excuses. The rest of them, maybe Kundalini might be a bit flat from a big win previous start. A Little Deep had the perfect run, and that to me is the measure. how well Aviatrice. So the best I can take out of that is that she just needs the real firm ground, which she hadn't been getting. She showed a real good piece of time in South Australia earlier this year, and while she'd been running well and winning a race, maybe she's just a real firm tracker.
West Aussie mare Wild Bell eased at the 200 metres. Stewards asked Luke Curry, thought it was wrong in its action. Vets went through it, nothing wrong. We'll check with Luke Fernie and find out how she's pulled up following that disappointing performance. Race number 4 now. When there's no harm being in front and on rail, Damien Lane is one of the best in the business at leading over the mile at Caulfield, and he did it beautifully with Grinzinger Bell.
Well, he was fantastic at Flemington, and what I took out of it was that it was flat at Moonee Valley in that night meeting, but interesting post-race that apparently Danny and Damien had a robust conversation, in quotation marks, that he went to Moonee Valley. So I just took from the data that it was a bit flat. Maybe it was a bit of both. But yesterday, ridden with intent, out in front. And look, there were 3 1600 races, and yes, the other 2 were Group 1s. But so this was the slowest of the 3, not surprisingly. Private Legacy, easy to circle a black booker, but this is a filly, or now a mare, but she'd run some big races, including in South Australia in that stakes race. She's got a huge close in her. Those type of horses can be costly, but you'd think that like a Matriarch at Flemington over 2,000 might be her go, and they'll find a race for her. But Grinzinger Bell, that's the end of her distance range, but when you ride them like that, you end up with no excuses.
Race 5, there's always been a bit of a boom on this horse, but back-to-back now. Jimmy Star, wasn't it a win?
Oh, absolutely. Probably the win of the day. And look, I mean, it was the one I was most confident on going on the day, so I was cheering pretty hard. And what he won, when he won first up, and, you know, I know he's easy to stamp, but the real sustained speed when he just got up over 1,100, we knew he was better at 1,400. And really what we took away from that was that 1,400 win in February was off a short break. This time in, he's had a long break. He was able to just build into his work. He only had one barrier trial. Then he's won first up. He's still got more to come, and maybe a Champions Mile at Flemington and end of the carnival might be Windy Scope too. You can't put a ceiling on him. A couple of little hidden ones here. Sox Nation and Griff didn't have much luck against the fence, and I think they're ready. They wouldn't at all be surprised if they exploded. And the one up front, not an option now, is 100 to 1. This is a fast horse, and he just gassed out. He wasn't ready first up, and like stablemate Run Harry Run, they'll both be better for that run. Not an option. I think they're both second up, and they've both got talent. So while it's easy to pick the flash homers, this is a race where, because they went fast, maybe horses early in their prep, you might get a little spoil out of them. So Run Harry Run are not an option in easier, but Jimmy Star, just don't stop backing him.
Race 6, the Herbert Power, Kieran Marquinella, Herman Hess and Akita Sushi beats Fancy Man, Braden Star, good late. The map, where's he regarding Melbourne Cup? And also Mr. Wolfgang was a good run from back in the field.
Yeah, so, I mean, look, that's, I'd say moderate time. I haven't got Vince's figures yet, but 2:29 on a good track is moderate time, so it's going to be leader advantage, and that's exactly what happened. So Herman Hess loves it at Caulfield. I don't know if they're going to try and back him up, and what you have to keep in mind now, it looks like we're going to have a wet track and perhaps a heavy track next Saturday in the Caulfield Cup. So anyone doing your work on that, while quick backup horses need to be respected. Couldn't find any wet track form in Herman Hess, and no key to Sushi, but Kieran Marshall said he didn't surprise him that he ran well. Braden Star's ready to win the Country Cup, I reckon, and just missed in the Bendigo Cup last year. As you said, the map on target, and Mr. Wolfgang was sound. So the one that was the real disappointment was Post Impressionist. At first you think, what's John McNeil doing? Well, you know what he did? He did exactly what Blake did in the last race, but just Post Impressionist, unfortunately. I'm a huge fan of the horse. Looks like it hasn't come up this prep.
Yeah, right. Race 7, the Might and Power. I think a lot of the little punters would have had this in their leg of their multis. Mr. Brightside, but Deny Knowledge just kept going.
Well, that's right. And they've run 2:01.4, so that's real good time, but it's not sensational time, which probably tells you that when the splits come out, that Mark Zara's ridden the most perfect race on a one-pace fast mare. This time last year, she went literally prior to Jenny's speed in that race when she gassed right out. So he's probably just timed it run perfectly. And Mr. Brightside, 2,000 is the end of his distance range. He's run well. Be interesting if they back him up rather than go to the Cox Plate in the King Charles next week. Tissue's on track for back at Flemington. Don't rule out Adelaide River being back on track now. This is a serious horse from the UK. And this was, I reckon, Team Williams would have been delighted leaving the course on this horse. Don't rule him out of being a big player in the spring yet.
Caulfield Guineas, it was a masterclass again from Damien Lane, Private Life. What about Ferrucci for Dominic Sutton? Wow, what a start that could have been to that young man's career. Evaporate, very good, broadsiding, good late.
Well, that's it. And look, so you think it was unplaced in this race when Star Spangled Banner ran a beautiful time up front throughout. So if broadsiding goes out and wins the Cox Plate, that doesn't mean Caulfield was leader bias yesterday. It means it didn't suit broadsiding yesterday. He was alongside Evaporate at the 800, and Evaporate beat him home. So however it's sliced and diced, he was a bit disappointing on the day, on that track, where he was in the run. Now, as you said, Damien Lane, beautiful ride up front. I think they've run 9 lengths slower than Antino. Well, that tells you that it was tempo-related. So broadsiding and Evaporate's running a big mid-race. Tell you one thing, though, if Evaporate goes to the Vars, it'll be a jam-tin job, won't it? But maybe they might even have throw it into the Cox Plate. Who knows? But, I wouldn't, I'm not knocking broadsiding, but I'm just saying yesterday it didn't surprise me, didn't suit. I had a couple of shekels on the Waterhouse runners who both were slowly away and they ran nowhere, and it was Damien who took up the initiative. So well played the horse and the rider on tactics.
Race 9, the Mark Walker stable's going well. Bellatrix Star, she might be just that, a star.
Yeah, well, I copped this one, and this is, beware of underestimating slow time winners, because she did what she had to in her previous wins, and she just keeps raising the bar. Oscar's Fortune, well, he's on track for a monster spring, isn't he? Yep. Is the plan to give him one run and then back to the winner bottom?
No, he's got 2 more runs over there than back here. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised if he picks up a race. And Kalos was the one who was a bit stiff in the rain. And Mahaba, we know it's a horse who really improved second up. So I think this will be a really strong form race to sprint.
Massive win in the 2-rack to Antino. Craig and Elsafina on a good 3. She was very good.
Yeah, absolutely, and just beaten. But Antino just completely came to play. And what about that mile race at Mooney Valley? Pride of Jenny, Mr. Brightside Antino, and the 4th horse, attrition yesterday. So just shows you don't underestimate fast races. So horses to follow, let's make it simple. Just stick with Jimmy Star, and let's see what happens with the others as we get different circumstances and tracks leading forward into the spring.
Okay, had a look at that weather report. It is looking like it's going to be wet. So at least slow to heavy for Caulfield Cup next Saturday. We'll talk about it all next Sunday on the Aftermath. Thanks, Ralphy.
Good on you, boys.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelpline.org.au.
This weather update on the Aftermath is brought to you by Tap Touch. Better your bet with Tap Touch.
15.7 here in beautiful Perth, searching for 25 degrees today and mostly sunny. Up to Broome, 37. Karratha, 38. Port Hedland, 38. Carnarvon, 25, the home of the bananas. Geraldton is 23 and partly cloudy. Northam, 28 degrees. Kalgoorlie, 34. Madras, 22. Pinjarra, 25. Bunbury, 22. Albany, partly cloudy, 21. Esperance, cloud clearing, 21. Importantly, at Geraldton for Ladies' Day today for Great Western Insurance, Wayne Clarkson and the team there, insurance brokers, partly cloudy and 23 degrees. Wishing David Renstead all the very best for their big meeting up there as well. Get your Sunday saviours in on 0427789571. We've already had 32 in. There was no winner last week, according to TC, our intrepid producer, who is filling in today. Now, let's get to the talkback line, Brad. We've got a few here.
Yes.
Snoz, a Sunday regular, and always comes up with good stuff. Brad and Marty, with West Coast bringing back all the old crew, Pike, Worsfold, Hearn, Shuey, and keeping Schofield, do you think this is good for McQualter? My opinion is when a new coach takes over, a broom should sweep clean and start with a complete new team, which has been the correct method with new ideas and team plan. That is from Snoz.
Yeah, there's two sides to this. I mean, there's no doubt Don Pike's surrounding himself with allies. For sure, and believers, disciples, call them what you like. I don't have an issue with the John Worsfold one because he is not there to overcoach, overreach. He'll be there to protect McQualter, who's going to go through some difficult times early. That's not going to change. Blue McKenna's also trying to get back in the door. I think there was a job promised by Don Pike. I don't think that's getting a bit of pushback, Marty. So Snoz might be onto something there. But, at this stage, the board's still micromanaging everything, and that's what Pike's trying to do, surround himself with a few allies.
Norm of Inglewood. Now, this is a good written long text. Gentlemen, I bring your attention to the running of the two-rack handicap yesterday at Caulfield. The ride by Blake Shin was lauded by the caller. However, the performance of the horse, I would suggest, made Shin look good. The performance of the winner was reminiscent of a performance we witnessed at Gloucester Park some years ago when Juster Boyden won the Pacing Cup final. I can find no mention in the steward's report of a question being asked of the trainer re the winner's outstanding performance. What do your experienced racing experts think of the circumstances, the riding tactics adopted by the rider of the favourite? The negatives, not just the positives, must be confronted by your program. Norm of Inglewood. Brad, you kick it off.
Yeah. Well, Ralphy's discussed the analytics, and I thought the favourite was going a bit hard. I thought it was getting taken on, but it didn't appear to be that way. I've tried to have a look at it, Marty, and it didn't seem to be going overly quickly. I mean, they broke 136, but that's not out of the ordinary, one would have thought. But I am with Norm a little bit. I thought when Antino took off, I thought, what is he doing? I thought he'll probably run up to him on the corner, and that'll be it. But it didn't only run up to him on the corner; it sailed past him and won by 6. It was a remarkable performance. It's a pretty darn good horse. Probably just short of a couple of the other great Group 1 runners around the place. But, it was an enormous performance. There's no doubt about that.
Well, first off, let's pull Antino apart. His form going in was outstanding. He was third in the Mackay Diva, Mr. Brightside, prior to Jenny. He then ran that third, much discussed in the Fian at Group 2, but it was a Group 1 race prior to Jenny, Mr. Brightside again. If you do your form, he was a Group 1 Group 2, but running in Group 1 company in a Group 1. The favourite, Another Will, was going almost from listed company, I think, up in. There was a massive push for Another Will, and I was a little reticent. We had a discussion with Richie Bell on Friday night. He liked Another Will, and I gave El Safina a really good run. And the way Antino looped them and went on with it, it was reminiscent of a looping run at the Valley, wasn't it, Brad? You see that at the Valley quite often.
It did.
But he showed
Another Will, I didn't think Another Will would lead. I really didn't. But sometimes when you draw one, you sort of you second guess yourself a little bit. You just wonder whether you're going to get the right run, whether you're going to get trapped back on the fence or whatever if you don't go forward. And but Antino, as you said, you can't deny the quality of horse that he's been racing. And it just goes to show class wins out.
Yeah, and he was second in that race last year as well to attrition. We're about to catch up with Mitch Freedman in a minute. But before we do, Lisa of Allenbrook. Morning, Marty, Brad and team. Brad, you're scarred. I'm still in a fetal position. Blew my money at Caulfield. Should have called Ginger Jane. The Hawks shafted the Eagles and gave Carlton pick 14. Sheffield Shield, WA Queensland a draw. Eagles AFLW thumped by Hawthorn, and the Dockers are circling like vultures to get Bolton and Baker. Only shining light with the Wildcats and the Australian women's cricket team. Brad, save me. What do the Eagles need to do? 3 days of draft left. Where to for Barras? Take care, enjoy your day, and have a great week. Lisa of Ellenbrook.
I'll paraphrase it for you, Lisa, because we're going to talk to Mitch Freedman in a sec. Look, the Eagles stuffed this up. I mean, they were told that Hawthorn were on the cusp by Hawthorn, that they were on the cusp of doing a deal with Carlton. Get going. They didn't come back to Hawthorn for over 24 hours, Marty. They thought, well, we've just locked this one in the bag. We'll do what we want to do. And so they went and traded off that pick that was going to be ideal, not only for West Coast, but for Richmond and Baker to come through. So they stuffed it up. So they've got to get really busy on the phones, on the Zoom, whatever they want to do this weekend. I'm sure they are trying to conjure up another way to get Baker maybe without Barras being involved. But I dare say they're going to have to get busy. And people say, why should they have? I'll tell you why, because, Hawthorn committed to Barras as West Coast did to Baker. So a long way out. So you've got to make it happen now. You've got to make it happen. You can't commit to someone and then leave them hanging like they're doing at the moment. It's just not good dooks. Because I wouldn't blame Baker and his management to say, well, listen, Fremantle can get it done.
We'll go to them.
Coming home, they're better possessed. We'll go to them. Very important from a qualter to get in both Graham and also Baker. But here's the kicker. As I said, the manager of Tom Barras, now I'll just make this clear, the manager of Tom Barras is Nick Geeshan. The manager of Harley Reid is Nick Geeshan. Do the math. Do the math. Get it right, boys. Get it right or forever hold your peace down the track.
All right, we don't want to leave this man hanging. We've got Mitchell Freedman ready to go. Let's listen to this. The Hill Stakes yesterday.
On the inside, Golden Path being shoved along. Pericles working into the clear from non-conformist. Kovalika down the outside. They've got 300 metres to go. Royal Patronage and Attrition on the outside. Running on well, New Endeavour. Now Kovalika heading top gear wide out as Attrition takes the lead. Attrition a length and a half clear from Kovalika running on. It's Attrition in front of Kovalika. Attrition hanging on from Kovalika, and Attrition won the Hill Stakes. Wanted a neck on the line to Kovalika. A gap back to
terrific win by Attrition going up to Sydney for Mitchell Freedman, who joins us on the aftermath. Very good morning, Mitch.
Morning, guys.
Well done on the win.
Thank you very much for that. It was a massive thrill and not too bad for the bank balance either.
Yeah, absolutely. Mitch, Brad Hardie, congratulations, man. Executed plan beautifully. We were just talking about the Fee and Stakes and he ran fourth in that, but it was a Group 1 field that he ran fourth to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the form's not too bad out of it. Prodigy obviously hasn't been seen again. Missed Brightside second yesterday in a Group 1 and Tino Group 1 winner by as far as you can kick your hat. And we managed to get a win as well. So it was a great race to see, and it was a really good spectacle, and it's exciting for racing how the Cox Plate's building up at the moment, that's for sure.
Yeah, not a big field for the Cox Plate, but it's going to be dripping with class. Now, Mitch, were you tempted to stay in Melbourne and go for the Might and Power, or was this Hill Stakes always on your agenda, being a $2 million Group 2?
Yeah, it was always on our agenda. I mean, the 5 Diamonds has been the goal for the preparation, which is a 5-year-old only race over 1,800 up in Sydney. And, you know, just keeping an eye on who was running where and that sort of stuff. And we thought that this race was a good chance for him to go up there and run in a race worth a lot of money and stretch him out at distance and just try him that way of going. I mean, things come off very well yesterday and we've still got that target race in a month's time.
Mitch, Bo Merton's a very accomplished young rider. Did you hatch the plan with him? I mean, he took his time to find his feet. He came across nicely, got into a beautiful rhythm, and he was trucking along coming to the corner.
Yeah, he was. I mean, our aim was to flow forward a little bit, but, you know, we thought we might be able to tuck him in midfield or something if possible, but he ended up probably a pair or two closer than we expected, but I think he was just a little bit sick of chasing. The horse was going very, very well, and although it might look like his performances are a bit below par, we thought he was going very well, and he just needed to get into some races where he actually was involved in the contest rather than out the back and having a chase all the time, and he did that yesterday, and he was very bold to the line. I thought he fought Kovalika off really well and managed to get the job done.
Was the autumn a case of the horse just didn't come up?
No, we just had a few little setbacks and just come at the wrong time. I mean, last spring we were going for the Golden Eagle and we had a little issue, and then in the autumn, he threw a splint, and things certainly didn't work out for him in his first up run. He pressed forward and did a lot of work in the early part, and brought himself undone, and it was hard to bring him back from that. And then we had the split. And, yeah, it was just a number of things that went against him, and we just had to sit tight and be patient.
Geez, you started off the campaign interestingly, going to Morfettville, McDonald's Stakes, 1,400 metres. What was the planning there?
Some of the Group 1s over 1,400, like the Memsey and the Group 2 PB Lawrence, just look strong races, and because he just been, had a few little issues, we wanted to build his confidence and get him back into form. And he was just a colt, sort of a bit bored with things at home, so we took him away to Adelaide, and it really just sparked him up and got him feeling good about himself. And I think it was the same thing yesterday, just a little change in his routine and just got him thinking. These colts sort of like a little change of environment every now and again, and just keeps him engaged.
Mitch, a little bit of indifferent analysis at the Caulfield and the Rosehill tracks yesterday. What did you think of it? Because there was a couple of times there where Bo could have probably gone across behind the leader quite easily, but a lot of the jockeys wanted to scout a little bit off the fence there yesterday.
Oh, look, I thought that track up there played magnificently. I wasn't at Caulfield and I didn't walk it, so it's hard to comment on that. But yeah, I mean, when you're winning, the tracks are always playing great. But yeah, I mean, I thought Rosehill played well yesterday, and they were winning back down near the fence, and they were winning out wide. And it seemed to race fairly to my eye.
So where to now for him?
Whether we run him again or not before the 5 Diamonds, I'm not sure. It's a month away. He's a bit of a natural athlete, so he might not need to run again. If we did run again, it'd probably be on Cox Plate Day in either the JRA Cup or the Crystal Mile, and then back to the 1800 up in Sydney.
It doesn't take long, Mitch, to get back into the routine. Are you heading to Seymour today with Jam and Jimmy?
No, I'm not. We've had a pretty hectic schedule the last little bit, and we're not going to go to the races today. We'll have a day with the kids and the family and the staff and whatever else. But no, we've had a very hectic schedule lately, and we were never planning on going today. And we've been out to the beach this morning. I flew home last night, so we'll have a little drink this afternoon and celebrate the win.
Beautiful. Where's Skybird heading next after it's run in the Blazer?
She's got 2 options next week. She either goes to Sydney for the Silver Eagle, or she goes to Caulfield for the Tris Stark. So either one of those, and she's on a path for either the Golden Eagle or the River Clark, whichever one we think she's most likely to get a result in.
All right, Mitchell, you got any more, Brad?
No, that's fine. He's doing an outstanding job. Enjoy your afternoon and watch Jam and Jimmy win at Seymour. I think it's a good chance.
Thanks very much for that. I think they both got chances going there today, and we'll take, if either of them get in the winner's circle, happy days.
Okay, who's the other? Quickly.
There's one in Seattle Hope in the race after, so they've both got chances. I think that she's going well enough, and we'd expect them both to run well.
Okay, all the best. Thanks for coming on the Aftermath. Well done, Mitchell.
Thanks, cheers. Bye.
There is Mitch Freedman. It's interesting that the favourite, second to none in that Seymour Cup, won that race at Morphettville, beating attrition 3 or 4 starts ago.
Pretty good form line, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And he also beat, second to none, also beat Carrickasoo, who won yesterday at Morphettville.
And the bloke, the bloke sitting on second and none steers all right too, just quickly.
Yeah, Damien Lane.
He does go to Seymour for a holiday.
I would say so. Now, Brad, text line here. Brad and Marty, what did you think of the Wildcats' win against Cairns on Thursday night?
Well, I'll tell you.
Yep.
I've made this observation. Their season from last year is mirroring this year. And what I mean by that, it is so paramount that Cotton is the guy. There's no. I know there's been a lot made of the undercard, and they're going okay. But when he couldn't score a hoop last year this time, and remember, and then all of a sudden it just clicked in, and he had the 30-odd the other night, and they win. So it just goes to show how important. That's why he's the best player in the competition. Bar none. And when he's the barometer, if they're on,
he's on.
Are on.
Yeah, I'm sticking by comments made on Drive last week before that win against Cairns. Cairns, talented team. They had their best player out, Taran Armstrong, best player and captain. For Wildcats to be a player in the finals this year, they need to improve, and it just can't be Cotton, because teams like Adelaide 36ers, Illawarra Hawks, I don't know if anyone happened to watch them yesterday, destroyed the Jack Jumpers by 33 points. You've still got Melbourne, you've still got Sydney. Cairns have even improved. Cairns could easily beat the Wildcats on any other night. So Wildcats need to keep on improving and improve on last year what they did if they think they're going to play in the big finals coming up this year.
Oh, sure. No, I agree with that. But sometimes little things turn into big things, and that might be just a kickstart they need to
get going.
Start building
momentum.
Yeah. And life's about timing. You want to run into a bit of form going into Christmas, and then the other side of Christmas, you really want to start coming hard.
All right. A man who's all about momentum is Rylie Morgan. He can find a winner for us at this big meeting up at Geraldton today. It is Ladies' Day. Very good morning, Rylie.
Hello.
Yeah, we got you loud and clear.
Morning, boys.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, good. Not too bad, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I saw you in here in the studio yesterday. You made your way out to Ascot. How was it?
Good day. I think the track played super for that opening meeting there yesterday. There were a few very much surprising results, as much as there were some results that were probably expected. So no, it was a good day's racing, and there were some nice horses to follow out of that meeting there yesterday as well.
Rylie, 7 race card at Geraldton. Where do we stake our money?
Races I'm targeting today, Bradley, from a betting perspective. I'm hoping that it's going to be a big day for the Adam Durant camp. I think he takes a really strong team up to Geraldton, which has been a bit of a theme for him and his team over the past few seasons. But in a similar vein, I guess, Mickey Grantham also last season really attacked some of these races with some Peters Investments horses, these lesser races, and what we are probably become accustomed to seeing them in the Cerise and White. But he takes a nice horse up there today in race number 2, race 2, number 8, in Mythical Dream, who was really luckless on debut off the back of a really nice trial leading in down at Bunbury, and that race that she comes through there today has already produced a winner from it since. So I think it looks pretty strong form, just never got a crack at them in behind runners in the straight, and looked to be travelling into it like she was going to have a say in that finish. I think from barrier 4 today, she matched beautifully, and Mickey Grantham's team's going very well at the moment, and he's got some nice horses for Peters Investments at the moment, Marty, and I think this bloke looks no exception.
Okay, $2.40 Mythical Dream. What's our next best?
5 and 7, races 4 and 7, with a pair of Adam Durant horses I think look terribly hard to beat. They're both incredibly well placed. Snippy Witch, the first of those, who just comes out of significantly stronger races than this. And while I'm not sure he's at his absolute best at the moment, he's just going to get such a good run there today from that barrier. He's coming out of Saturday races around the likes of Taropa, Miss Flirtatious, Bravo Centurion. These are all top quality Saturday horses in the metro area, and he's been more than holding his own against that company. So while he hasn't been winning, he hasn't been beaten very far taking on that sort of company. So he gets to a much weaker race set today at Geraldton, up to 1,200 metres suits. He's going to get a lovely run from that barrier. I think he's going to be very hard to beat in race 4, and I think if you like maybe a little Sunday saver, you want to roll a couple of them up. Race number 7, Simply Thinking, is a really nice mare, and I think she's got the class to overcome the barrier. And the weight she's got today in that field in the last, it doesn't look overly deep for mine. And if they've shown they can make a little bit of ground, which they could do at that opening meeting at Geraldton this season, if they can make a bit of ground, I think she'll have too much firepower and finish over the top of them. Her form really stands out. She ran second to Great Fortune, and we saw win again there yesterday after a bolting in at Belmont Park, win again there yesterday at Ascot. So I think the form looks really good, and I think she's got too much quality for these. So not a great deal of value for me, boys. I'm not looking for a bit of value doing the form, but a few of these favourites at Geraldton today I think look incredibly well placed, and I think if you want a Sunday saver, you could maybe even roll them all up.
Okay, race 2, number 8, race 4, number 5, race 7, number 1. You enjoy your racing up at Geraldton today. Thanks for coming on the program, Rylie.
Always a pleasure, boys. Have a good Sunday.
On the Aftermath, you're listening to Marty Young and Brad Hardie on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Penny Tiger talks up a storm, but Mr. Smarty is doing it well over Sangreal, getting the second on the inside of Tenzing Bromack and Penny Tiger late, but Mr. Smarty does it all the way, and Mr. Smarty races home to win. Sangreal always travelled well and always
Bradley,
looked like
there it is on Friday night.
Yeah.
What?
Good on you, you dunder clumping. You cut me off the other week. You cut me off. I love Richie Bell calling. And I reckon that horse I think that might have got thrown out somewhere in the mix.
Yeah.
Did it not?
Hall Senior.
And you cut me off.
Yeah, that was 2 weeks ago. I went a bit early on the favourite, yeah. Cut you and Hawley off, left you hanging. It was a Specsavers moment, Brad.
Oh, we'll go, what the? What's happening here?
You're lining him up.
Dead air. Nothing like dead air. Dead air on radio. It's really good.
I don't mind. Really I specialise in it. Don't worry about that. It doesn't worry me, dead air. It's beautiful. But that was Mr. Smarty.
Smarty.
Hall Senior on that program, before we cut him and you off, quite rudely, went to say that this is, the one of the best in my stable, Pacing Cup, all of those sort of things. And, just won the James Brennan Memorial on Friday night in devastating fashion for Junior at $1.30, well backed. And we're trying to find out whether or not Never Ending. There was a flight out Friday. We spoke to Ross Fitzgerald. I think it was Friday from memory. It might have been Thursday. These days all sort of melded into one another. But there was a chance he could get out. So TC's trying to work out whether or not he got on that flight, because if he did, that means he could go into the Golden Nugget. And if he didn't, then I think it sort of meant that the summer was all over for him. So we're just trying to ascertain whether or not he got on the flight or not, Brad. Very important.
Okay, let's fingers crossed for Group Run Morts. He needs that.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, listen,
he does.
Question without notice.
Yes.
Question without notice.
Yes.
Do you like the Bathurst?
I do, because I drove around it last year. Did a few laps on the old Bathurst. What an amazing place it is. Just having a look at it now, it's going off. It's going to be a magnificent day there today, no doubt about that. Hey, do you like it, Brad?
Yeah, I've been there. I've been there for a whole weekend once, and a few years ago now, but I used to tell all the kids at school the race was named after my dad, the Hardie for Rodo. Anyway, and then they worked that out that it wasn't true. You'd be pleased to know, Marty, and always drink responsibly. It is still you're allowed 1 carton per person per day.
That's fair enough.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
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 And what they do is, the early punters, they go there and they find their spot where they're going to be, put their flag in the ground, dig a hole, put their beer in the hole for a week or two. And by the time I get there, it's fresh and cold, ready to go.
Beautifully done. That's the way to do it. Yeah, like the old Coolgardie safe years ago. Yeah, the old Hessian bag with a wet Hessian bag. Keeps them cool.
I love the livery. I love the livery, but I have lost a little bit of a glean on it, because you used to know what was a Tirana and what was a Falcon, but now everything sort of looks the same. It's all sort of meshed into one. The Holdens, the Commodores and the Fords were very similar. Now it's pretty much Camaro City, isn't it? So, anyway, all good.
Yeah.
And what about that new Toyota coming out to start?
Wow.
Isn't it?
They look amazing.
Looks like a Batmobile.
Yeah, it certainly does. So Brodie Kostecki and Todd Hazelwood are favourites after getting the Shootout 10. They won that yesterday, and they're 450. Cam Waters, James Moffat 5. Brock Feeney, Jamie Whincup is 550. Richie Stanaway, Dale Wood 650. Will Brown, Scott Pye 750. Matt Payne, Garth Tander, there's a name 850.
On you, Garth.
Jack LeBrock and Jaden Ajita at 9, and then Chaz Mostert and Lee Holdsworth are 11. So that's how it's looking at the moment for Bathurst for today. Let's move it on. Our guests are coming thick and fast. Michael Grantham joins us right now. Good morning, Mickey.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Good. Are you en route to Geraldton?
Yep, we're en route. 13 Ks out of Newshay, just about to turn off to the Brand Highway.
Beautiful. What about yesterday? What a terrific day for you and Diamond Scene being able to descend and win race number 6 in emphatic fashion. First up, what did you make of that?
Yeah, it was obviously a great first up run, and his turn of foot wasn't surprising. He can do that at home, and he's won those few staying races prior to this prep in the same sort of fashion. He probably raced a little bit on the speed in those staying races, but Clint rode him to exactly how he wanted him to be out the back early and hard late, and his turn of foot got him there.
Michael, Brad Hardie, congratulations. Safe driving up there to Geraldton today, and I'd like to thank you, because She Who Must Be Obeyed said you can only watch the Ascot Quadrian while you're alive, and I was out in the first leg. Thanks very much for that. I really appreciated it. I had to watch Mrs. Doubtfire.
I think Mr. Pope would have got you out as well.
Yeah, it was a tough quaddie. We have a Barbaro Butchers quaddie on Thursdays straight up, and all of our contestants were out first leg. So you did a good job on them, and then they were out the next leg as well. Cosmic Crusader bailed a few out as well.
No, it was a day for long shots by the looks of it.
Often happens when they go back to Ascot, doesn't it, Mickey? But I just want to finish off on Diamond Scene. So you said sprinting well. We always think stayers can sprint well, particularly first up at 1,400 metres. Will he be on a Perth Cup program again? Or do you think he might be better suited to 1,600, 1,800 metre type races?
Well, I spoke to the boss yesterday evening on the way, or when I got home. He's in South Austria at the moment. When I spoke to him, and he said to me we probably should renegotiate our entries for the railway and the Northerly. We'll most probably do that now. He still will be on the route to the Perth Cup as well. He can still have these runs and are fresh enough into it. These could just all be his lead-up runs, but I'd say from here on he probably will go 3 weeks in the Asian Bow, so keep him fresh and keep his lungs nice and open before then. And then just continue on, I'd say, because if he's not going to make it to there, we've still got our back roads races if he's not going to measure up.
Okay, now...
Mickey, obviously you're off to Geraldton today. Yep. You've got a really, really good hand. How many in total have you got starting, and where do we start to find the winners with you?
We got six. We got 6 in today, and a couple of maidens that I've been happy with, and they sort of got interrupted runs last time. And the main one we're taking is First Beach for that Ladies' Day sprint, and we come up with the pole draw, and he's a pretty nice horse. So hopefully that's the one we're coming for.
Okay, let's start there and then work our way back. First Beach, first up, was able to win its maiden at Bunbury, and it had come across to you from the east, where it had run at Cranbourne when trained by John Leake, by Nakoni, 4-year-old. Tell us a little bit about this horse.
I thought he'd done a few little tiny things wrong in his first up run. He was a little sort of a victim of circumstances when he got pulling a little bit outside the leader, but he's probably had that many jump outs and whatnot in Melbourne, so it's probably something that he's only ever been taught over there. I've gone back to doing a lot of follow work with him and not letting him win any gallops. So hopefully today he's probably on the pole draw. He'll either be box seat or 3 back to rail, and just hopefully he can beat his way through, to be honest.
Hey, Brad, how about the horse who beat him at Cranbourne? Was Ferrari.
I know. Stop rubbing it in.
Well, it's fair to say the form's all right out of the race.
Oh, yes, it certainly is. Don't worry about that. Hey, Mick, just quickly back to let's go through race 1. You've got 2 in that, 2 lining up, and the market suggests that Just Gifted might be your best of those 2.
Yeah, she is on ability for sure. Couldn't find anything wrong with Mystery Minute after that. I thought it was a very poor run from him. He's shown a fair bit at home, so I'm hoping he can redeem himself here today, because he's above average. But yeah, it's just I'm not sure what went wrong with him. But if I was going to have my money on it, it'd probably be Just Gifted.
By Justify, first up run was at Bunbury, beaten only 2 3/4 to Ron's Final Flutter. What did you make of that run?
Yeah, it was good. You know, the pace was a bit muddling in front of her, and she got on the bit a little bit and tended to run out at that stage of the race. And she did finish off okay, but I feel like she done a lot wrong. And I hope that she just today with at Geraldton they do a bit more speed and she doesn't get a chance to grab the bridle. And we'll just see what happens.
Okay.
Race 2, you got Mythical Dream. Apparently didn't have a lot of luck here at Bunbury.
No, he didn't have any luck, but no fault by anyone. It was just the way the race was run, and there was just no gaps for him. And I was just glad that he'd done that, because he trialled really well, and he's on the upward spiral. So taking him here, Geraldton's actually a hard place to win a race. I think you've got to be very fit. They run races hard, and I think that's on the path he is.
I was before we have a look at your runner in race number 3, Bob and Sandra have never been afraid to travel their horses to Geraldton, and that must speak well of the track, because you know what Bob's like. He doesn't like running his horses on firm track. So I reckon the GTC must really appreciate Bob and Sandra continuing to send their horses up to their race club.
Yeah, he loves travelling his horses. I think it's great for him. You take them here. Some of these are real nervy travellers, and when you get to the races, they're absolute lambs, and it helps them when they actually got to go to Ascot on a short travel. When they get there, they're fine. Feel like when you take them on a good a travel, we even just take horses that aren't racing on these trips just to give them that give him that education, and I think it helps a lot. But not in saying that, I think Geraldton's a very good track and it's got very good coverage on it, and they do a great job up there. Geraldton and Albany are probably the tracks we'll probably continue to use with these 3-year-olds.
Well, what about New Music in race number 3?
I thought she was a really good chance in that 1200 at Belmont that day, and she sort of just followed him around, and I tightened the screws as much as I could, but she's not a battler. She's doing her best. She's when the boss had seen her at the race, he hadn't seen her for a long time and couldn't believe how much she had grown. So maybe she's still got a lot of growing to do, but coming to Geraldton in a 58 plus, you'd want to be competitive, I think.
Gee, the form's all right. Last start it was Elite One influencing, so don't be too hard on her.
Yeah, no, I probably am being a little bit harsh, but I had a little bit of expectations for her and she let me down.
Race 5, King of Keed, drawn the visitors' car park. But what are you going to say to as a party about this one?
Well, I put the Norton on him. His tractability wasn't the best when he sat in behind him. Really didn't even move a muscle on him, and he got really pulling. I've followed ever since that last run. I've followed in all my track gallops and stuff like that, and seems to be settling a lot better with the Norton on. So it's just going to have to be how he jumps, and won't be any instructions to Joey today. I'm pretty sure he knows what he's doing, but to be midfield and come with one run, probably going to be his best asset, I think. Okay, very good form too, Joey Azzopardi, and of course that gets us to the main event of the day, the Great Western Insurance Brokers Ladies' Day Sprint. You spoke about this horse a little earlier on, First Beach. Final word? He's sort of my golden child, so I just hope he goes well.
So barrier one's not a concern?
I don't think so, no. I actually think it's really good because you can get covered up straight away, and he doesn't see any daylight. He can find a backside. Mm-hmm. And from there, I think he can just nurse his way through and just wait for the right time.
Okay. Hey, Michael, all the best up there. Thanks for coming on The Aftermath.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Nicky Grantham on his way to Geraldton, taking a truckload of Bob's horses and 6 to run. Sounds like he's pretty confident First Beach, Brad.